Welcome to our channel. If you are new, please subscribe us.
On July the 17th, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 took off from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport, bound for Kuala Lumpur. It was a routine flight carrying 298 people, including passengers from 17 countries and 15 dedicated crew members. Yet what should have been an uneventful journey turned into one of aviation's most devastating tragedies. Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was operated by a Boeing 777-200ER, a modern and highly reliable aircraft. The passengers on board represented a cross-section of humanity: families on vacation, students, professionals, and even international AIDS researchers headed to a global conference in Melbourne. Of the 298 lives on board, 196 were Dutch nationals, and the remaining passengers hailed from nations such as Malaysia, Australia, Indonesia, and the United Kingdom. For these individuals, this was just another flight, a bridge between continents and loved ones. No one could have foreseen the tragedy that awaited them. As MH17 climbed to its cruising altitude of 33,000 feet, its route took it over eastern Ukraine, an airspace known as L980, commonly used by international flights. However, at this time, eastern Ukraine was in turmoil. The region was engulfed in conflict between Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists, following Russia's annexation of Crimea earlier in 2014. Although airlines had been warned to exercise caution, the airspace at this altitude was deemed safe by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. Hundreds of commercial flights traverse this corridor daily, including Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. At approximately 4:20 p.m. local time, just as MH17 entered the airspace near Hrabov in eastern Ukraine, tragedy struck. A surface-to-air missile, identified as a Buk missile, was launched from rebel-held territory. The missile hit the left side of the cockpit, causing catastrophic structural failure. The plane disintegrated mid-air, scattering debris, luggage, and the remains of the 298 people across the fields and villages below. The wreckage fell over a wide area, leaving a horrific scene of destruction. Villagers who witnessed the disaster described a loud explosion, followed by burning debris raining from the sky. In the hours after the crash, the world began to comprehend the magnitude of the tragedy. Local residents and emergency workers were the first on the scene. What they found was beyond comprehension: a field littered with wreckage, personal items, and heartbreaking evidence of lives abruptly ended. The crash site quickly became a scene of chaos. Due to the conflict in the region, access to the area was limited, and the recovery of victims and evidence was hindered by ongoing hostilities. An international investigation led by the Dutch Safety Board began shortly after the crash. Through painstaking analysis of the wreckage, radar data, and missile fragments, investigators concluded that the plane had been brought down by a Russian-made Buk surface-to-air missile. The missile was launched from a territory controlled by pro-Russian separatists. Investigators linked the Buk missile system to a unit of the Russian military, sparking global outrage and demands for accountability. Russia denied involvement, claiming the missile was fired by Ukrainian forces, but evidence strongly contradicted this assertion. The downing of MH17 sent shockwaves across the globe. Families demanded answers, governments called for justice, and tensions between Russia and the West escalated. In 2019, Dutch prosecutors charged 3 pro-Russian separatists and 1 Russian officer with murder for their roles in the incident. In 2022, a Dutch court convicted 2 separatists and a Russian officer in absentia for their involvement in the tragedy. While this was a step toward justice, questions remain unanswered, and the scars of the event linger for families and nations alike. The victims of flight MH17 have not been forgotten. Memorials have been erected in their honor, and families continue to fight for justice and closure. The world remembers the 298 lives lost that day and the tragedy that unfolded above the skies of Ukraine. This disaster serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the devastating consequences of conflict. The legacy of MH17 is one of resilience, remembrance, and the pursuit of peace. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, And subscribe for more stories that shape the world.